just lures you in a little bit deeper and you want to see a little bit more. And this friend of mine, and again, I'm also heavily into music. I've always been, and you can see right behind me, I'll always be a music writer. I just have a passion in me to write music. And now, praise be to God, I write praise and worship 24/7. But at that time, I was into very dark heavy metal too. Death metal. I mean, the most satanic bands, the darker it was, the more aggressive it was, the more evil it was, the more I loved it. So I'm all the way in that world. I'm meeting friends who are introducing me to drugs for the first time around age 16. And that drug use would open up doors into heavier and heavier drugs. Hypnosis. I mean, whatever it was, I wanted to go all the way. I'm having other encounters. The UFO alien stuff is going on that I won't even get into that. I don't have time for it. I'm really getting into this really heavily, really deeply. And the deeper I'm going, the darker things are getting, spiritually speaking. Until one day that this friend of mine, he was a friend, he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know. But he had this name for our band. We wanted to, form a band. And his idea for the name of the band was Necronomicon, which I had no idea what that meant. He explained to me that was the book of the dead. Like God has the book of life. There's the book of the damned, those who are eternally damned. And you can call and summon them up. And I agreed to that name of the band. That was the day absolutely everything changed. That was that doorway. So from the time I did that satanic ritual in my friend's basement up until this point, I was just being lured and lured. I was at age 7. I was so sexually perverse. I can't even say on this interview the things that I was absorbed with as a kid, the thoughts that were in my mind, the things that I was doing to other young girls at 7 years old. I can't even mention it. So all of this is happening. But that day that I agreed to name our band Necronomicon, that was the door. And that same night when I went to bed, I was just about to fall asleep, and suddenly I felt a presence. I'd felt them before, but nothing like this. This presence was absolutely, purely evil. I didn't see anything. The room was dark. There was some moonlight coming in. I had my blankets up like this, and I'm thinking, there's someone here. There's got to be something, but I wasn't seeing anything. So I'm trying to convince myself it was all my imagination, even though I knew better. And I'm trying to drift off to sleep. And just as I was about to fall asleep, this black shadow appears just past the foot of my bed, pure black, pure bipedal shape. It was like maybe 3 feet tall, 4 feet tall, but this absolute evil. And it leaped up onto my chest, and it was squatting on my chest. Now I'm frozen. The only thing I could do is move my eyes. I wanted to scream out in terror, but I couldn't. I could not move. And it squatted on top of me, and it was looking at me like this. And then it reached its fingers into my skull and was moving its fingers like this. And I cannot describe the amount of terror. And I was able to scream out the name of Jesus finally. It took everything within me. And when I came out of that, I just had this deep foreboding that I had done something seriously bad. And for the next around 16 plus years, it was almost a nightly occurrence. And it would get worse and worse. Being levitated, even into my marriage. My wife at the time, I was trying to tell her, like, I don't know what to do. This is getting worse and worse and worse. And she was the kind of Christian that didn't like to talk about that stuff. Like, I'll go to church and I'll do nice things to people, for people, and that's it for me. I don't like this spiritual warfare stuff. Well, they ended up switching to her. And I have a photograph to prove that too. If you're interested, I'll send it to you, Vladimir, where her back was scratched and bruised. And this was while she was alone in the shower too.